Good morning, fellow Barbadians. Thank you so much for watching our first video on the 2026 election. By now, all of you know the outcome of last Wednesday's election. Once more, the Barbados Labour Party has been declared winner of all 30 seats. If that is true, it means that once again, there is no official opposition, which is a requirement for our democratic system of government to work effectively. Some sources suggest that there was a lower voter turnout. Others refute this. Some figures put the voter turnout at 30.8 or roughly 31% when rounded. Other unofficial figures I have seen recently put the turnout at about 41%. So there's still much doubt about the accuracy of the figures being bandied about. There are also rumors and rumblings alluding to a quote-unquote stolen election, but I'll come back to that another time. One of our aims on this channel is to help people understand how things work in our political system. So let us show you how turnout is calculated so that you can follow our presentation and have a meaningful discussion about something which no one else is talking about. Before we do that, we want to ask you to subscribe to the channel. To go live, we have to increase our subscriber base. That's the YouTube rule. So do us a favor and hit that subscription button now. Thanks so much. As you can see from the exhibit, turnout is the number of persons who actually voted as a percentage of the number of individuals who were registered to vote. I am using the official 2018 data published on the EBC website as an example calculation. Now, the reason why we have to cast doubt on the turnout figure being tossed around in this 2026 election is precisely because we know that the EBC had not completed its registration process at the time of the election. So we do not know as yet exactly how many persons were registered to vote on February the 11th. We know some were left off the register, some of the dearly departed kept on the register, and conceivably others mysteriously fell off the register. So, in summary, we do not know that total number of persons that were eligible to vote. But here's the thing. Regardless of whether it is 31% or 41%, and irrespective of the fanfare and fetting, the BLP win is as hollow as an echo chamber. The turnout figure for the COVID election, which is what I'm calling the 2022 election, snap election it was, is estimated at about 41%. So if only 31% turned out for this election, in the absence of any pandemic or other limitation, it tells us that people are very fed up and disgusted with the political process. But that is just one issue. The other issue is that it puts the incoming government in an invidious or undesirable position. We'll talk about that in just a minute after this important housekeeping message. To go live, we have to increase our subscriber base. That's the YouTube rule. So do us a favor and hit that subscription button now. Thanks so much. Before the break, we said that the incoming government is in an invidious position. We are saying that because if 31% of the electorate voted, it means that the other 69% were no-shows. Now, that is more than twice the number of individuals who actually voted. Let that sink in. But there's more. Given the data above, we can logically argue that the party would have to collect at least 16% of the turnout to win. However, regardless of whether it is 16 or 17 or even 20%, that means the win is based on less than 50% of the total number of eligible voters in this country. That is not a partisan statement, because if it were the DLP, we would and could make the same argument. But what does this really mean? It means that the BLP is an illegitimate or invalid government because it has not been chosen by a majority of the adult citizens of Barbados. That is a simple statistical fact. On screen is a description of what political illegitimacy is about and what can make a government illegitimate. But do not expect the so-called political pundits like our good friend Peter Wickham to even voice this anytime soon. That would be a terrible inconvenience to the motley camp. Neither shall we be fooled by the congratulations flowing in from the Caribbean and the international community in which Miss Motley operates. Diplomatic protocol alone requires that they offer such congratulations. But you and I now know the truth about the questionable legitimacy of this incoming government. I don't know whether Miss Motley and those in her camp understand this concept of illegitimacy. Perhaps they do, but are unmoved about it. I certainly hope the President, the Honorable Mr. Bostic, understands it, because this is not how a democracy or republic is supposed to work. But the matter is much more serious than that. If the incoming government is illegitimate, as we defined, does it have the right to represent Barbados on the international stage, such as in the United Nations? Does an illegitimate government have the right to sign loans on behalf of the people? And if it does, are those contracts binding? And what about the legislation it passes? Is such legislation binding? These are matters we have to explore with urgency and perhaps make retroactive to 2022, where a similar low turnout was recorded. These two snap elections, 2022 and now 2026, have thrown our whole governance calculus out of whack. They have created an environment of unnecessary instability, all because of the lust for power of one individual. If there's any good at all coming out of the confusion and chaos of these last two elections, especially this one, 2026, it is that Barbadians have now got to realize that they have got to become much more politically aware, understand the strengths and weaknesses of the political system in which they operate, and more importantly, develop a desire to see meaningful change in the system that allows greater participation, greater stability, and more desirable outcomes, not these 30-0 outcomes that we've had in three elections in a row. This is definitely not desirable, and this is definitely not how democracies should work. In upcoming videos, we are going to talk about voter apathy, the motley effect, and the shocking, egregious role of the church in local politics. Thank you for viewing.